The end goal is to develop an ability to understand the combat in a fluid kind of way, to develop it to what we might define as a free format form of combat where we're learning through exchange. Onegashimasu. Welcome back to the Goju Ryu Karate Center. We will do some flow drills maybe, something to work on in terms of more advanced kata and principles that are common to, let's say, bunkai or kyo-nippon, and trying to escalate them towards the point of Randori. So let's get started. Hey, Brian, please come. We're working 1, 2, 3. So I've taken one bunkai or kihon idea from the kata seesortion. And there's that idea there, and I'm coupling it to my my Randori drill. So he attacks again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and Brian is now pulling his hand back a little bit, and it is going to change the dynamic of the movement. So 1, I got him before he could pull it back. 2, 3. Okay. The idea now is to gradually escalate the idea of speed. Because if Brian goes at full speed and I try the exact same thing, it's going to fail. So if we're standing and Brian does a fast punch with a snapping action, go. I got out the way, but I didn't get hands on. So we have to work, how do we get it right? We get called out on this all the time by other martial arts groups who go, that's very nice and pretty, but what happens when the person really goes at it? When they really hit fast, when they try and hit through you and they try and retrieve their hand so they can set up the next punch. And we immediately are found wanting. So the idea behind this is not to say this is the perfect solution, but this is a process to get from one point to another point, knowing very well that we are often found wanting when we test this at speed. So we have to build the idea that at some point we're going to allow it to be tested at speed and at resistance. So as Brian is attacking, we're getting here, and he may attack a little bit faster. You can pull it back, Brian, pull it back. There we go. Pull it back, go. All right. Let's just keep it on the punch, just so that we can work this idea. 1. There's that resistance I was talking about. I got the arm in, but I'm in a really bad position. His elbow is bent. But we have improved upon the idea. And punch. A little bit of adaptation because he changed his position. I had to change mine. And this is where we end up. So that as that gets a bit faster, we're going to have to work on it, and hone it. So, with that said, this is a process, and I'm showing the stages of process. Now, if you'd come from another martial art and you don't like the process that we're following, this is artistry. It's not who's the best fighter, and it's not which is the more superior martial art. I don't subscribe to that opinion. We all do it for different reasons, and we have to be honest about that. So if you happen to do another martial art and you're like, well, my art is better than your art, my daddy's bigger than your daddy, if that's your mentality, that's cool. Stop watching, go watch another channel, all right? If you like the idea of we're trying to build a system, we're trying to be pretty honest about the shortcomings of our system, but we're trying to aspire to things that we have seen in other martial arts where we look and we go, wow, that's a valid point. When somebody brings up the shortcomings of karate as a martial art and they do grappling and they go, well, you guys don't do this, or you don't test like this. Guess what? Some of us listen, and some of us are like, oh, all right, you know what, you're right. And we have to work harder to get back to that solid base level. The question is, how do we do it? Where do we go? Because there's no way as I'm changing out my white uniform, my white angry pajamas, and my nice beautiful black belt to put on a pair of Muay Thai shorties, because that is now going to be the solution. It's not who I am. It's not what I subscribe to. So from a personal point of view, you've got to remember that that is our right as individuals to choose. I choose to do karate. I choose to be involved in the artistry of Goju Ryu karate. So I'm working towards finding a way to help us within the angry white pajamas world of karate to improve what we're doing, to tweak what we're doing, and to create a pathway for people to kind of follow, and to say, well, if we take this and we can work it along this pathway, this system will improve what we're getting as an end result. Okay, we have our shortcomings. It's an admission. We do. So does everybody else. This is my choice. We're working on a nice system. So when he attacks now, one, make sure we try and hook those hands over, try and grab on. Go with the flow. As his arm is starting to come back, so Brian is pulling his hand back. Instead of going back and trying to lock and to push him there, turn your body. And now it becomes a little bit more effective. So, the bag's moving. Okay. Brian, we're going to use that left hand so that maybe my footwork can be seen. So, attack with a straight punch again. So I'm moving to the outside and I'm on his resistance, on his arm going backwards, instead of being here, because this hand is probably cocked and ready to fire there. I'm going to follow his hands. That hand's going to start wanting to come. I want to get into this position, and look what happens. Now all of a sudden, I get even closer to my authentic bunkai. Okay? A short moment later. So we can apply that to all of the attacks. So we're going to use left hand. Let's use the hook in this case. So as the hook comes, blocking, catching, because he's going to follow through, we're going to pull that way. And again, once you twist into this position, this leg, just pop it in front of his leg, create that little fulcrum, and we've got him. All right, with that hammer fist, that overhead attack, same kind of idea. And we're just moving around him and into it. So we're working, not retreating. As his attack comes, we're literally going 45 degrees to his attack, which is our Randori principle. So as he attacks, straight punch, left side, we're moving 45 degrees into him. We're double blocking, so 1, 2, and then we're redirecting ourselves because we're worried about that attack. And the next thing is that he's going to kind of step around. So when he steps around, he's nullified that. At this point, I haven't effectively hit my opponent on the attack. So let's go with that hand, 1, and we may be doing this, forcing him to reach down, grab crotch, because he's been hit in the groin. And now this arm is here, and now it's a little bit easier. So this is one idea, one option in your Randori. We may use the legs. So as he's attacking, and I'm stepping, trying to either knee or kick. Sorry, Brian. Okay. With a kick as we move and we break the line. We may be kicking, instead of his groin, we may be kicking his leg. So we have the same kind of attack. 1, kicking or sweeping. And we could also have a combination of those ideas just to break the momentum that he is building in his attacking sequence. So what is critical in this idea for Randori, which is our end point, and the reason for a flow drill is to build that idea. So we might go, let's take, without the counter strike, the idea of either he hooks, he punches, he hammer fists down on the head, and let's pick one of them, but let's use that side, please. Okay, so when I get to this position, and I step back and reposition this foot, so that's where I'm going to get to. And now Brian is going to adjust according to what he feels is the best way out. All right, Brian, go. So now he's taken that pressure off. He's realigned himself. I now have to have some kind of answer. Am I going to attack him? Let's go this way. So I was here. Brian stepped out of it. Am I attacking? Is the sesortion becoming something similar to sepai? All right? So if I do this, I'm in the line of that attack. Brian, what comes to mind? Okay. Now we've got the next attack. Where do I go? Because this punch is going through, and if I don't hook it or stop it, he may bring it back this way. He may just swing with that hand. It just depends what he feels. Okay, so let's start again. So 1, 1. So I went straight through. I got here, straight through, in, and second attack, Brian. So I went somewhere else. So let's have a look at what we did from the other side. So he attacks that side. There was the sesortion part. I jumped straight ahead into that groin shot because I want to affect him. And immediately he comes with his next attack. And I pop him and I step into this position. And this will become the basis of my drill. So we work on that. And we go 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Trying to give him a little bit of a jaw rattler before I get him into this position. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. That may be a bit. How did that feel, Brian? Awkward. Nasty. Okay. What do you feel you want to do from here, Brian? Okay. Step out. I hope this comes up. Gotta love that little funny back foot kind of kick. Hardly ever practiced in karate. Great idea from Kung Fu. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's go. What's next? Okay. Couldn't resist. Somebody said you're the stand-in Keanu Reeves. All right, so this becomes our drill. 1, 1, 2. Next one. 3. Elbow uppercut. Pull. He stepped. 4. So start working towards an idea. Now, we have this saying in Afrikaans, the head scratch, the kopkrap, is, where did that all come from? So, let's have a look. We have stolen, and I said we would steal from a variety of kata, is 1 was the idea of sesortion, grabbing, hooking. 2, sepai, blocking, hitting. The next attack comes 1, 2, uppercut, elbow, hit. Kind of looks like super umpe. Okay, the next attack comes, pull, push, this turning motion, maybe the back end of sepai or cipher kata, where we're stealing ideas that are common ideas, common threads that run through all of our kata. You maybe do different kata, and you might be going, hold on, we have that in one of our kata. Maybe it appears in a Chinto or a Empi or a Kankudai or Kankusho or Nijusho. I don't know. I don't study those kata. But maybe they appear there. Maybe it appears in Naifunshin or Teki. You may be finding that, hold on, these ideas, this common thread, runs through a variety of kata. And the reason is quite simple. There are only so many ways he can attack me. And we have developed these systematic ways of practicing ideas according to one or another teacher that have been passed down from one generation to the next. We call these ideas kata. And they're for us to practice at home in the happiness and the space where we have at our leisure, and to reinforce what we're learning. But they've got common idea. Okay, so we are working on this concept of how do we do this. Now, the end goal is to develop an ability to understand combat in a fluid kind of way, to develop it to what we might define as a free format form of combat where we're learning through exchange, not where we're trying to knock each other out, but we're learning at a lower level. Yes, at a lower level, a lower intensity, a lower speed setting, so that we can develop the confidence to systematically build on those ideas. If we break that down and we're looking at the idea, so now we're both standing, we're both happy. And this is going to complicate things, because now it could be this hand that attacks, it could be that hand that attacks. It might be a shift from the front of the body, maybe a shift from the back of the body where he may be stepping through. He may be punching and the legs are in the wrong position. So now the takedown might not work. So I'll give you an idea. If Brian jabs with this hand and I need to get in here, okay, so come a bit closer so we're in frame a bit better. All right, so if he takes a step, a little lunge step, and he clocks me, there's still enough in his hand to do some kind of damage. All right, so we're very, very close. And so if this attack comes, one, it's this, goes straight. See a tournament background, block, hit, gyakuzuki. Then all of a sudden that drills out the window. So I might have to, if I'm standing this way and he's hitting down the center as he punches, one, the technique this way. So now we've got to work on go one, jab with a little bit of a pullback, Brian. Right. Go, go, and now we found one thing because we've changed it. So now we go back, slow. Slow with pullback. Yeah, with the pullback. Okay. Don't punch there, my head ain't there. Okay, so the reason if you punch this side of my hand, it's easy. If you punch here, now there's the complication. So in punching straight, I now have to block with the backhand. Most people are inclined to block with that front hand. Okay? That's one option. Next option, because I'm trying to think on my feet now. He punches with this hand, and it's the setup to that other hand coming. So that hand is coming with whatever. All right? So I might have to, as he does this, 1, 2, go for that backhand. And maybe that becomes my idea for 1, 2. Oh, no leg. And again, this now brings me to the other point I was making. If he hits a gyakuzuki or opposite and the foot's out of place from the original drill, it's now adaptation time. So no leg, I can pull, he's going to step anyway or change position like we did now. And the next attack is coming. And we're looking for this. And it allows us in. So the key part, thanks Brian, the key part in what we're trying to get across is that it's that first attack that is so critical, because once that happens, we stop doing exchange of blows and we start to somehow trying to entangle our hands. So along the way, we've covered a whole bunch of ideas, but one of the most important things that we have not done in any way or form is shown how do we actually grab on. So, and like just thinking about it now, it's like, well, maybe we need to go back further down the drawing board, and we go back to, Brian, come back. Chest punch 1, chest punch 2. The importance of 1, 2, grab, touch. 1, 2, grab, touch. 1, 2. And so it's not working. Back to the basic. All right? It's not working. Back to kakie. Trying to work that idea. So the whole idea of our system is that, thanks Brian, when we find something no longer works because we've escalated it and we have to go back down the drawing board, we have got drills in our very basic format, slightly more advanced format, that allows us to train and to fix what's going on. Of course there's going to be a shortcoming. What happens when Brian realizes that he doesn't have to punch me, but maybe it's a better idea to switch to grappling groundwork mode, and he decides to shoot for my legs? And now we've got another content, another topic, another area for us to train, another day of training, something else to work on, and it keeps our martial art alive, it keeps it fresh. And it keeps it real. And as we're working like that, if we're honest with ourselves and we know that there will be shortcomings and we know that there are criticisms of the overall system that we study as karate do, and we're trying to address those, maybe it helps us bridge the divide between what we are doing and what we're comfortable with to that place where we're uncomfortable, where we are questioning our sanity and we're questioning the effectiveness of the art that we're studying, and it allows us to go back and forward in that and to work and to enjoy the training. Because at no point in my world, in my dojo, am I working with narcissistic people anymore. The narcissists eventually leave. Whether it's after 1 day or after 5 weeks or after 6 months, they generally leave because it's no longer about trying to get them to get to where they want to be. We're just going through a system and a process, and it's back and forward and back and forward and back and forward. And we're not catering to the idea that everybody is a full-time combative specialist who is trying to get so good and so proficient that they are going to climb into a ring somewhere and do some competition, whether it is bounce around and try to score a lead of 8, whether they're trying to score a singular good blow and that is the winning thing, or whether they're going to knock the person down or knock the person out and have more points on the clicker, or they've KO'd the guy, or they've got the person to tap out. At no point is that even part of what I do anymore. But I would like my students to be happy. I would like them to be honest. I would like them to know that we're trying to be honest with what we're doing so that we can effectively say, all right, well, there are shortcomings and we're trying to address those. And in that way, we're trying to keep it real. So that is more important, I think, for us as karate instructors from an instruction point of view. How do I tweak my dojo? How do I keep my content exciting and help my students to grow and to develop. And sometimes you've got to take an idea and run with it for a couple of months. A good friend of mine always used to say, I have a theme for the term, and the theme is this. And he would break it down from the most basic and then try work towards an end goal at the end of the term to see if he could make an effective change in what his students could do from the beginning to the end. And if he could get them to have that effective change, then that was a successful term. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us at the Goju Ryu Karate Center and listening to the ramblings of a hardened, angry white pajamas person. Okay? Have an awesome week. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much. Come, Brian, please take bow. Thank you, Brian. Arigato gozaimasu. We will be making a few more videos with Brian. He's back for a few weeks, able to be in the dojo every day, and it makes my life and Sensei Zoe's life so much more awesome. And I got to play with my 4-year-old yesterday for an hour. Happy smiles. Cheers. Have a good one.